Hey guys, after a long time, welcome back to a new video. So in this video, we are going to create this thumbnail. So let's get started. So here in Pscc, create a new project of size 1920 by 180 pixels. For the first thing I am gonna do is import the image that I am gonna use for the thumbnail. After adding the image, resize it. After resizing, cut out the character from the image and make a PNG of it. So as you can see, I have resized it. Now I'm gonna cut out the PNG, character PNG from it. So I'm gonna fast forward this part. So it's almost done now. So after making a PNG of it, give a tint to the background layer. So here I selected tint and add a tint of the color you want. I am gonna give it a tint of blue color. Then make the luminosity 0% and make a dark background of it. Now I'm gonna give it a lightning effect to make it more darker. Here you can see it's looking good. Now select the pixels of the character layer and then give it a stroke. Not stroke, give it a fill of the color that you selected on the background to give it a glow. Now add Gaussian blur to it. You can also add directional blur 2 or 3 times. That would be enough. As you can see, I am adding directional blur. So here it's done. Well, I am duplicating it. It will give a cool effect to it. Then lower its opacity. Now add another layer of white color. Give it a Gaussian blur of around 100. Then change its blending mode to linear dodge and lower its opacity to around 25 to 30. Now duplicate the character layer and give it a Gaussian blur. And then change its blending mode to linear dodge and lower its opacity to around 20 to 25. Then select the pixels of the main layer and inverse it on the empty layer and then fill it with the color that you selected on the background. Then change the blending mode to linear dodge and give it a Gaussian blur. Give it a Gaussian blur of around 20 to 35. Then select the characters pixels and then extract the Now lower its opacity. can give a sharpen effect to your character. It will enhance its quality. Now add bevel effect to the character to give it a 3D effect. You can copy my settings of bevel. Now make a duplicate layer of character and then give it a stroke and then extract it. Then add fade to the parts that you don't want in that stroke. First I recommend you to remove this line from the bottom and add the fade effect to the parts that you want. Now here you can see it gives a cool effect to it. Now I'm gonna fast forward it. I'm gonna change the background layer settings. Now add the text that you created from the Pscc. The link of the texts are given in the description. Text and all materials are available there. Now add this barcode font in the side corner of any corner that you want it in. Now I'm gonna resize it. Here you can see it's done. I'm gonna add this Bgmi logo and resize it. Now give the text a gradient. Now give it a gradient. I'm gonna give it this light blue and white gradient. You can choose the one that you like. Here I am experimenting something. I didn't like it, so I remove it and then give it a good normal gradient. Now here you can see it's looking good enough. Now give it a warp effect. Here you can see how I am doing it. You can do the same. So it's looking good enough now. Here you can see it's done almost. resize it. Now resize it and place it on. Here the resizing is almost done. Now add this text and resize it and place it on center of the above text. And add one on the corner too. Here you can see I add an text on the nothing. Now give the main text a drop shadow and make it a 3D. Here you can see it's looking good. Now change the color. It will give it a 3D effect. Here you can see. Now give it a bevel effect. You can copy my settings. Done. Now duplicate the layer and give it a Gaussian blur and then change the blending mode to linear dodge. It will give it a glow effect. Then you can change its opacity. Now give it a drop shadow. Now make a black layer and then place it below the text. It will give it a good effect. I'm gonna warp it too. Here you can see it's looking good. Now it's done almost. So it's done. Here you can see it's looking good. Now add drop shadow to it. First duplicate the layer. You can add fade effect to its sides. It's your own choice whether you want to add fade effect or not. So I'm adding it. Now change its opacity to around 50. Now duplicate the layer and give it a drop shadow. Now select the original layer and then go to that layer that you gave a drop shadow, then clear it. Then you can change the opacity to around 30 to 20. Here you can see it's looking good enough. So now I'm gonna add some effects. You can download these materials from the description. You can give it a tint to change its color if you are making thumbnail on the different color. Well, now the thumbnail is almost done. I'm gonna add some particles. You can give it a traction blur if you want to. It's not necessary though. Well, I'm gonna merge the layers so I can add another layers. Now add this effect, then linear dodge it, add this light effect. It's not necessary though, if you want you can add. You can lower its opacity. I'm gonna add this light effect. Only add it when it looks good on your character. Sometimes it's just mess up with the thumbnail and make it look so bad. So it's looking good with my character, so I'm adding it. You can lower its opacity. Now add this lightning effect and make it black and white by giving it a white tint. And then you can add it on your text, just like I'm doing. So thumbnail is almost done. I'm gonna add a lighting effect to our background because it's looking so bright. Now it's looking good. I'm gonna lower the opacity of that light. Now add directional blur to our background, about 20. Now it's done. Save it. Now open Lightroom. Now save it to Lightroom, and I have given a DNG preset in the link, so download it and add it to Lightroom also. Here you can see I have imported the image already. Now this is a DNG preset. I have given the link of it in description. Now click on the three dots and copy settings. Now go to your thumbnail and then click on three dots and then click on paste settings. Then boom. Now it's done. Now you can save it. So yeah, that's all for today's video. Bye bye.
All I have is a dream. I'll show you all what it means to be me. Exploring the seas, one piece. I will find it, ride it. Gonna be the king of the pirates.